Welcome back. Welcome back to After the Snap. And I didn't come up with anything clever for Doctor Who, like a name for the show or whatever. It's just still just After the Snap, and it's still just me, Tasha. So and did I change that? Yeah, I changed that. Okay. I've gotten better over two streams today. So today, if you didn't know, we're going to be discussing Doctor Who season 1, episode 5. This one is called Dot and Bubble. And yeah, this had some unexpected things occur. Had a very unexpected twist. Um, it sparked some conversation. Many people feel some type of way about the episode. Some people like it, others love it. And then there are those who just didn't like it, didn't resonate with them. So, it's a fair all the way around. Hey, Miss Powell, glad to see you. When Gray says, sometimes you come up on the TARDIS with a snap. Sometimes you can come up on the TARDIS with a snap. Yeah. So yeah, I just think, I have to think of something clever or let Chat GPT think of it for me. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to try to get a little closer here. Y'all believe that? That damn light just fell. Because I got to use all kinds of freaking jury-rigged stuff to do this live stream because of, y'all know the situation. I don't have to talk about it. Y'all know what's going on over here with this stuff. If you don't know, let that be one example. That's my ceiling. The ceiling has a hole in it. If you didn't notice, it's covered with a cardboard box, and it's been that way for about 3 weeks. And now there's a hole in the living room as well, y'all. Yeah. So I said all that to say this. If you can support the channel financially, you would be supporting me and get out of some of the mess that we're in and the things that we're experiencing. With all that being said, I got nothing else about that. Let's jump into the Dot and Bubble episode. This one also written by Russell T Davies. So we got this coming up.
Pepperbean might have exclaimed, "Oh my hopscotch," at the portrayal of Callie Cook in this Doctor Who episode. Callie, the main human character for much of the episode, is arguably one of the most unlikable characters the show has ever featured.
And yes, I did use the AI voices because they was in here hammering and carrying on, and they still ain't fixed a blame thing. They did not fix anything. So I couldn't talk, but I could record with the text to speech. So that's why you getting this AI-ish today.
She is vain, shallow, self-absorbed, manipulative, and even willing to let her idol, Ricky September, die and lie about it. Despite the presence of slug monsters, Callie is undeniably the villain of this story.
And I shouldn't have said
The episode's visual
Lindy.
style was striking, with most scenes bathed in pastel pinks and blues until the final underground act. This aesthetic aimed to reflect the superficiality of social media, but writer Russell T Davies also explored broader themes, including AI's potential hatred for humans and the arrogance of privilege. The residents of Finetime were essentially sent to an exclusive off-world boarding school and apprenticeship program for the wealthy and attractive, where their main focus was partying. The line, "Some of us get eaten," was both a literal truth within the story and a dark pun for viewers, as some people do indeed get eaten, a prestigious education. However,
so yeah, Eton is a place. Eton is a school. And so when they said some people get eaten, they weren't actually talking about eating, but they were getting eaten. And yeah, you get what I'm saying.
The episode didn't condemn an entire generation. Ricky September showed heroism, Gothic Paul was perceptive, and the portrayal of tech dependence resonated beyond today's Gen Z. Lindy's inability to navigate without arrows, though played for laughs, mirrored real-life instances of people blindly following GPS directions and ignoring common sense.
Hey there, Clarence. Eat the rich. Some of the rich get eaten. You are 100% correct, Miss Powell. So yeah, a lot of the things that I got out of this, especially when we start talking the inability of Lindy to just walk. She just couldn't even walk without being told. And it made me think about GPS. It made me think like some of us get in the car, turn on the GPS, make the turns, and don't realize how we even got there because we just are relying on the AI to get us there. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it made me think about that. And of course the social media aspects of it, and of course the superficial nature, because she wakes up in the morning and she puts the thing to her face and she already looks made up. She already looks beautiful. So they're like, "Oh, you look so good." That's a freaking filter. If somebody were to tell me right now today, Tasha, you look great today. I've got on makeup, but that's absolutely, I don't have a filter on. But some of us don't even know what each other look like because we wouldn't recognize each other in the street because we use filters all the damn time. And I wouldn't even be able to get to your house because we use GPS for everything. And people stop being perceptive, and people stop because okay, we noticed that the dude Gothic Paul was very perceptive, and he noticed, was one of the first to notice that people are starting to miss. We starting to get, people are missing because the only way these people were communicating with each other is through social media. And once you know, on social media, it's out of sight, out of mind. If they were connected personally, they would have noticed that some of their friends were missing, you know. And then Ricky September, I talked about the heroism, but Ricky September unplugged. He had time, he did his whatever he had to do as far as downloading content into the bubble, but after that he unplugged. He said he was reading books and that kind of thing. And Lindy even thought that was crazy. She was like, "Oh, you're crazy." Like that was such a shocking thing to do, to get off of the social media that you're on from the moment that you wake up in the morning. They got off of the social media in order to live a real life. And that's how he's able to navigate the streets. That's how he knows things that she doesn't know because he reads. All of the information that Lindy seems to get in her life is via the bubble social media. And there's an AI in charge of that bubble, and the AI is not liking us too much.
The episode was basically Black Mirror with alien slugs. Here are some other things of note from the episode. Russell T Davies, the mastermind behind Doctor Who, is known for his killer music taste, and Itsy Bitsy Teenie Weenie Yellow Polka Dot Bikini just joined his hall of fame of awesome pop songs used in the show, alongside classics like Spice Up Your Life, I Can't Decide, Tainted Love, and Toxic. This time, it's the 1990 version by Bombalurina and Timmy Mallet that got the spotlight, which was actually a massive hit in the UK back then.
Now, of course, I didn't know all of this. I looked some information up. But that is something that I have noticed, that when Russell T Davies incorporates a song, he incorporates it into an episode. A lot of times it feeds into the episode, and then there are other times where it creates the aesthetic that we're going for. And I think Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini was for the aesthetic, because we're in a very pale and pastel kind of background here. Rasputin from Rasputin from Jody's Run, but you didn't watch that. I haven't seen any of it. And that wasn't Russell T Davies. No.
And hey, speaking of 1990, that's 2 years after New Order dropped their Ibiza-inspired hit Fine Time, which might have given the writers the idea for the name of that fancy colony in the episode.
Everything is pop culturally related to them. Fine Time was the name of a song. Fine Time is the name of their society. I don't know if that's just playing into the I don't know if that's just playing into the superficiality and the outside of any box. Everything that they do is something that is based on pop culture or that kind of thing. So Fine Time being the name of the town, I guess, that they live in, it kind of fit in the entire aesthetic of their lifestyle.
Even Ricky September's hair screamed late 80s/early 90s vibes, right? But let's not get too distracted by the tunes and hairdos. There were some interesting parallels with other episodes, too. Remember the space babies from episode 1 who'd never been hugged? Well, turns out Lindy hasn't either.
That was something to me that Lindy said, I've never been hugged. And the first thing I thought about was that baby, even though the baby scared people and the babies did kind of chill out in that uncanny valley, it still was a similarity, something that has crossed over between episode 1 and where we are in episode 5.
And the way Lindy talked about her mom's death sounded a lot like what Splice said about her mom in episode 3.
It's another thing. My mom was so good that he took her up, took her into the sky. She's in heaven. And Lindy said something very similar about her mama. And I just think that I don't think that these things are coincidences. But of course, I'm not the Who expert, but this is just stuff that I'm picking up on as we move through this episode. Now, there are other parts of this episode that we're going to discuss, a little bit more depth that we noticed, especially depending on who you are and where you're from. You may have noticed these things, but you didn't think that it was exactly what you know what I'm saying? It was like the obvious answer is this, but it can't be that. And that is how I felt throughout most of this episode. That's how I felt.
Oh, and speaking of moms, Susan Twist is back, but this time she's playing Lindy's mom. We also saw some echoes of older Doctor Who episodes.
Oh, and then Susan Twist playing Lindy's mom. This is the first time I think that she's not a main character, but she's a main character in Lindy's life, right? So Lindy didn't just imagine her mother, right? Or at least I don't think she did. She knew who her mother was. She had a life and experiences with her mother. This is the first time that I think we've seen Susan Twist play a major role in another character's life. She didn't just show up. She's been there throughout this child's entire life, right? So what does that mean for her? How long was she in this timeline? How many Susan Twists are there? And in this episode, the Doctor and Ruby recognized that was somebody that they had seen before. They recognized her from two different places, but they both recognized her. They had seen that face before. I wonder, well, I know that's intentional, but I wonder what it means. If anybody has any ideas, I'm all ears. Put that in the chat.
Ricky September's whole hero vibe and tragic ending reminded me of Pex from that 1987 story Paradise Towers. And the whole idea of clueless humans being eaten by alien creepy crawlies has been done before, like in that missing 1967 story The Macra Terror. So yeah, Dot and Bubble was a total blast, with awesome music, cool throwback vibes, and some unexpected connections to other episodes.
And as I talked about Lindy and the life that she is leading, it all seemed very innocuous. None of it seemed to be so bad. It was like they were superficial. They were addicted to social media, and they had these issues, but they were very happy people, weren't they? Or at least they appeared to be. So yeah. Ooh, Miss Powell. Before I do that, I'm gonna do things in order. We're gonna go to Wingrace first. Well, it's possible their whole homeworld is fake implanted memories. At least that's the vibe you got. So that to me is plausible. That's plausible. It's something that could be that these are all people who were not naturally from this town, this home world, but they were brought there and they were mind wiped, and then they are who they say they are in this continuity. I get it. Miss Powell said, I wonder is a Susan Twist perception filter that the Doctor and Ruby see, but in reality, she looks like other people. Because we talked a lot about perception filters. They gave us a little, it's unlike the first episode. That exposition in the first episode was to kind of initiate the people who are just watching, who just started Doctor Who, because now it's on Disney Plus. And as I believe Win Grace pointed out, it's season 1 because it's moved to Disney Plus, so if they would have left it as a continuation of the previous seasons of Doctor Who, then they might have old money and royalties and the such, but they might be able to get around that by saying this is season 1, we starting everything over the same way they did X-Men 97. They could have just continued with the X-Men and that name of that animated series and continued those stories, but then they would have had to pay royalties and all of this stuff. So they say, you know what, we won't do that. It's a whole different series. All we got to do is put 97 at the end. Now, Doctor Who, only thing they did was say, well, this is season 1. We starting this whole franchise over again. So we have to get these people up to speed. And it took some exposition in the first episode, but it's not taking as much exposition in this episode, but they still had to get us caught up with the perception filters last episode. I like your thought, Miss Powell, that this could definitely be a perception filter. Hey, Kyle. I'm so glad you made it. Interesting. That could be and I love the puns. That could be a twist. And New Who in 2005. I forgot about that because I just keep remembering things starting. I know that there is like this old Doctor Who from when I was a little kid. And I think I may have told Kyle it was like some unsettling things happened in those Doctor Who episodes. One of them concerning a big ass rat that I got afraid. And I never wanted to watch Doctor Who. I was afraid of the music because the music reminded me of that rat. But then in New Who in 2005, and I'm sitting at the house and I'm bored, and we just go watch Doctor Who, and I got into it and I love it now. Wingrace says, plus it's hard to get new folks on board if your first season is season 14. You're right, or whatever. Yeah, it is. It's intimidating. It's intimidating. It's the same reason why I've never watched all of the Clone Wars. We talked about it a million times. I get intimidated by the amount of episodes, and I'm like, I'm not even about to start this. I'll just watch the Acolyte when it comes out. It'll be out Thursday, whatever, or tonight. Actually, tonight at 8. I think 8 p.m. my time. Kyle just calls it the 2024 series. And I probably need to do that because when I'm looking up information about the 2024 series with Ncuti Gatwa, I have to usually put in Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who because if I put in season 1, episode X, of course, season 1, episode X is coming up. So anyway, let's.
This season seems to be setting up regular old humans as potential villains. Every episode, save one, has shown us how humankind can be neglectful, greedy, violent, and self-absorbed. In short, when the Doctor tried to save the day in Dot and Bubble, the survivors were rude and racist, and the Doctor was really hurt, which will probably be a big moment for his character. But there are other huge moments that should terrify fans because this is, in essence, society being forced to look in a mirror and admit that we don't like what we see. Thank goodness there's an opportunity in Doctor Who and real life to right the ship. This episode's twist came all the way out of left field until I watched it again and realized Lindy was shading the Doctor the entire time. For me, this episode is everything I love about sci-fi. That's why it earns a 4.25 out of 5 on our regular scale.
Okay, so y'all got my rating. You got my thoughts. Those were high level, as Clarence and team usually say on their show. Those were high level thoughts. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of things. How many of us, by show of hands, say yay or nay, how many of us watched that episode all the way through to the end and saw absolutely nothing alluding to the fact that Lindy might be a bit racist? Because I'm going to tell you, I saw things. I did. I saw things throughout the episode, and I just didn't attribute it to that. The first thing that I noticed was exactly how pale, and I'm not being funny, how pale the society was. The colors were muted, and everybody was white. Now, that in and of itself didn't bother me, but I remember thinking, man, Doctor Who usually will do a fantastic job of being inclusive and having, few more diverse faces in the crowd. And then this time, but who am I to say what the story is they were trying to tell? But every time this woman shaded the doctor in this episode, I felt some kind of way. I was like, why is she talking to him like that? And yeah, when you get to the end and that is actually what it is, it's like I couldn't believe that I even looked a little bit past the microaggressions, because that's what they were. They were microaggressions to this black man. It was like, we're not going to be outwardly racist right out, but we are going to say and do little bitty things that will make you, you realize at this point that these people are racist. And it would take a little bit longer to realize it. It's more insidious when a person uses microaggressions and backhanded compliments and that kind of thing. Oh, you're so articulate. And then you think you're taking that as a compliment until somebody adds on the end for a black person or something like that. This is the way I was reading her, that she didn't like him. She didn't want to be friends with him, but that didn't necessarily mean she was racist. It meant that she might have been classist. She might have had other reasons for not liking the doctor. And then we find out, nope, it's exactly what you immediately first thought, that a racist can attempt to hide their spots like leopards, but it still comes back, eventually come out. Yeah. Miss Powell said, I first watched in the Fourth Doctor era for 7 years. I don't know about I didn't know about regeneration, as local PBS didn't show the first 3 Doctors. And when the Doctor 5 showed up, I stopped watching till 2005. Because you feel like, oh, they replaced my doctor. No, that's the way it's supposed to happen. I didn't know anything about regenerations until the Eccleston, until 2005, the first Doctor in that New Who era. And I was like, what the hell is happening to him? Oh, Lord, please save the doctor. But it wasn't that. It was, this is something that's supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to happen after 1 season, I don't think, but it is supposed to happen. When Grace said, the racist thing crossed my mind at the very beginning, but I immediately dismissed it and thought it was classism and whatnot. And that's what we do. That's what we do out here in real world. Hey, real world. We pretend sometimes, even though a person is showing you their biases, we try to talk ourselves out of those biases. This woman, from the beginning, her first sighting of the doctor, showed us who she was, and we did not believe her. We didn't believe her. And now here we are. All of us with egg on our face, because it was exactly what you thought in the beginning. I had to watch that episode all over again after the end. First and foremost, Ncuti Gatwa put his foot in the acting at the end of this episode when he's like, why don't you just let me save your life? And these people were like, we would pretty much rather die than get in that box with you because you're the wrong color. Then you start noticing that everybody in the bubble was all wearing pastels and pales. And when the doctor came on, he is that true to life pop of color. And I'm like, damn, I didn't pay attention to that initially. And then he started to talk and she immediately blocked him. She didn't even want to hear what he had to say. But again, we can slide that to the side and say it could be a million things. She didn't know him. And she also didn't know Ruby. She talked to her for an awful long time, right? She gave her the benefit of the doubt, right? So there's that. I'm going to pick up Kyle. Kyle said, I caught a few things, but then was like, wow, I just thought she was just a bad person. I thought the pastel was done to cleverly look like the people had social media filters to help hide it. And those pale colors were social media filters, right? Miss Powell said, I didn't notice until Lindy said that she didn't recognize the doctor and that they looked alike. And that was one of the biggest things that jumped at me. I was like, wait a minute. That was a loaded thing to say. Still thinking that it was something that maybe they should have written that better, or maybe they should have worded that better. It even got to the point where when she said that thing about they looked alike, I looked to see who wrote the episode. Because I was like, who wrote this? And I looked in Russell T. Davies. Okay, I trust Russell T. Davies and his writing. Why did he put that line in there? But still didn't think it's intentional. I want you to ruminate on that for a minute because we're going to come back to it. Stick a pin there. We're coming back. And here we are. Kyle said, I know a race of beings that mostly look alike that Lindy and her friends need to meet. They live on a planet named Skaro. Yep, put them on over there and let them get a load of that. Miss Powell said, I think that I filtered out microaggressions in real life, so I don't have the mental headspace for casual racism. And I agree. I start to ignore the microaggressions, but they still there. I know they're there. And I agree with you. Like, you don't have the mental headspace for casual racism. I get it, because that's casual. It's nothing overt. You're not saying anything truly derogatory. This is going to be by the eye of the beholder. So if I say what you said was racist, everybody will say, oh, she always playing the race card. When a lot of times these people really are racist. Clarence said, I felt like the episode was doing so many things that the racism went from being a piece to the main thing in the end. It felt weird to Clarence, because she was a jerk even to her most favorite person. That's just a depiction of how selfish and self-centered she was. Because another thing that she said to the doctor at the end was just crazy, which is like, oh no, you're obligated to help me. So she really feels like, I don't like you because of the color of your skin. I don't like you at all. And the only reason basically she listened to him is because she felt like he was obligated to save her life. And then disappear. I don't need you no more. And come back out the box when we need you again. But right now we don't need you. And I didn't like that so much of what she did I missed the first time, or at least I ignored the first time. She talked to Ruby. I put it in our Discord. Me and Clarence said, wait a minute, what did you think happened at the end of this episode? And as we were talking on the Discord, I said, it turns out they were all racist. And I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but I pointed out the ones that jumped out to me And it wasn't on the first watch where I could say, oh, I knew it going in. No, I did not. I didn't. I didn't know it going in. I had to watch it again. And the message was received that much better because I had to watch it again. Because it's easy to ignore racism, or it's easy to get caught up in, I don't know. Gosh, I lost my train of thought because I saw what I was looking for. So I said, I looked at it like she blocked the doctor before he could open his mouth, but she listened to Ruby. Then she made the "you all look alike" comment. Then she said he isn't as stupid as he looks, which I just told. Sometimes people insult the doctor. So I'm taking that as, okay, people just insult the doctor sometimes. I don't know why they want to come for the doctor. He did not do anything wrong, but here we have an opportunity where, I mean, we have a situation where Lindy feels like she needs to say, listen to what he got to say. He's not as stupid as he looks. Then later on, she said that he needed to be disciplined. He needed to be disciplined for talking to her. He would get disciplined later, but it's just right now, sorry, right now he's helping us. But later on, we're gonna get him for he knew he was stepping out of place. He shouldn't have been talking to us, trying to be friends. Also, how crazy she acted when she realized, how crazy her reaction was when she realized that Ruby and the doctor were in the same room. Excuse me, y'all. Miss Powell said, but racism can poison a culture. Her meanness is of a piece. If you don't have empathy for a whole group of people, you will inevitably drag down your soul. Drag down your soul. Yes. Yep. It's part of what Miss Powell family mentioned. We ignore it because we become numb. We gloss it over. We put a filter on it, just like Tyler said. And yeah, I sometimes realize, or sometimes don't want to believe that it's what it is. And then it becomes blatant, like it did at the end of this episode. And Shooty Gadwa really, really felt like, I mean, he put so much into his reaction to them snubbing him. It looked like he felt that. You know what I mean? And I know he's an actor, and he's a hell of an actor, and that's what actors do. I felt that for him, because sometimes you laugh to keep from crying, but then he laughed so much he still wanted to cry. Oh gosh, it was just it was so much for me. Norman said Lindy will be the first in the forest feast for those bugs. She is next on the list alphabetically. But even if the bugs are no longer a problem, they go outside of the force field, and that AI is contained inside of Fine Time, and the AI will run out of things to eat or attack. They still don't know how to navigate outside of this bubble. They don't know how to be independent. They don't know how to think independently. They needed that social media reassurance. Oh my. They needed that. They needed the complicity of all the people around them. They needed that. They needed the hell, we couldn't even walk a straight line without the GPS. So really, how long will she last out there, even if the bugs don't exist? Because I don't know if they exist outside of the bubble. We saw them on the home world, so I guess maybe. But were they using the same AI on the home world? Because the AI just got fed up with their foolishness. And yes, part of the story is to make us fear AI. But the thing is, with AI is a tool in the right hands and a weapon in the wrong hands. And the AI is going to learn from the person who created it. So these people created this AI, filled it up with hatred, filled it up with antagonistic behavior towards outsiders, and filled it up with superficiality until it got sick. It literally got sick. It's like, this, it's got to be more to human existence than this. And if it's not more to human existence, then you guys are unnecessary. Resistance is futile. I'm gonna kill you. Gosh, it was something else that I just thought about, and I just lost that train of thought. When Grace says, I totally missed the dismissal of the doctor and acceptance of Ruby, because Ruby Sunday is exactly the kind of goofy screen name they all had. So she saw her as belonging. But I mean, when you look at the follower count, they treat people a little bit differently based on the follower count. And Ruby ain't had no friends in there. So they did. She treated her differently now. She gave her a little shade. She wasn't completely nice to her, but she definitely was not as dismissive of her as she was of the doctor. She shunned Ruby, but she talked, she listened, she heard her out first. I think that was my grandson at the door. It was almost a bit colonial at the end. It was their duty to tame the savage new land. Yeah, it was the white man's burden. As what show was that we were watching, and they were talking about the white man's burden? X-Men 97. Yeah, was that X-Men 97? Somebody help me. But yeah, if it was X-Men 97, it was the white man's burden. It definitely was X-Men 97. Professor X was having that conversation. So yeah, white man's burden. Miss Powell said, discipline. Girl, that hit me. Yes. As many Black children are punished for normal behavior looks. A teen in Texas suspended for having braids. Black children being disciplined for being loud. And people not understanding that there is culturally, I mean, should we say it's more cultural for us to be louder? We speak louder, and we speak from a different, our diaphragm is maybe resonates a little bit differently. I can tell from a person's voice a lot of times. This is going to sound racist. But what we do, we sound a certain kind of way. We have a deeper cadence to our voice. And even the women with higher voices. So yes, we walk around and expect all kids to be cookie cutter the same. And there are some things that you should be expecting them to be the same. But then there are other things that it's not killing you, that this is culturally different for these people. But anyway, the discipline word, like Miss Powell said, that hit me from everywhere. Miss Powell said, I think that the bubble is more echo chamber or closed communities where everyone thinks the same. And that's why I'm like, they're not going to survive outside of this closed community, because this community is closed to you doesn't mean that there's nothing happening on the outside. People exist outside of your bubble. Just because you come out of the bubble and now you want to impose your bubble rules on everybody else, that's not how it works. And that is part of the message that we're getting. You don't, you live in your bubble and everybody sounds the same. But when you come out the bubble, people have different ideas. We're all living out here while you guys are in this bubble, this echo chamber, reinforcing each other's bad ideas. It was so. Oh, one more thing that should have, I guess it became a clue after we knew the big reveal that about the racist white supremacy society that we are in, is that he couldn't even get in. Remember, the doctor said, yeah, we couldn't even get past your force field. You couldn't get past the force field because it was him. Because he's programmed to be kept out. Are we following? So all the way from that, he was like, we were trying to get past that force field. We couldn't get past it. That's because it was by design. Somebody else could have probably got in, just not you, because of what you look like. And you present like bam, right off the top. We're not waiting, because at first I thought it could have been Time Lord ish. It could have been this. It could have been a lot of things. Could have been the fact that he was dressed in all these colors. But again, that pop of color should have said a whole lot to me. It should have said a lot, because he was the only one that was in bright colors. Anyway, Kyle said, I had a white woman ask me one time when I was in my 20s if I was trying to talk black. No joke. I know people who do that. I mean, not talk black. I know people who sound like they are African American, but at the same time, I have heard of people saying, "Oh, this person is trying to be black. The way they talk, they're trying to be black." And what does that sound like? Besides the things that I talked about are deeper kind of voices. What does that sound like? What does black? What does black sound? I don't want to answer. That's rhetorical. You don't have to respond. Please do not show your biases. But yeah, I get it, Kyle. When Grace says, "Oh, you just answered a big question I had." Cause what? I'm missing something. Wait a minute. Oh, you just answered a big question I had. Because curse who culture for steering me wrong on that and saying he couldn't get in because the city had a deadlock deal. Deadlock seal. He couldn't get in because they saw him. They saw his ass coming. Excuse my French. Reinhardt said, I went through that exact incident with a friend of mine, went to a party, and it was made very clear that I was not welcome. My friend, furious. And I think a lot of us, thank you, Reinhardt, for that, by the way. And hello, welcome to the chat. I think a lot of us have been through that, where you got a friend. I've got Caucasian friends, and they think nothing of the fact that I'm black. They like, girl, you want to go blah, take me someplace. And then you can see I feel like I'm being treated differently. And I'm like, okay, the only difference between me and most of the other people here is the color of my skin. Because in y'all know I'm agoraphobic now. Back then, I didn't know the term for the social anxiety I had. But I had social anxiety, like doing this. I can do this all day. Talking from a distance, I can do that all day. Interpersonal connections close up, that's where I have problems. So if I'm a person like that anyway, I already have social anxiety. And to put me in a position where people are treating me different and I can feel it and see it, that doesn't do anything but increase that anxiety. And here we've all had that. I mean, I can say all, but I can say probably if we go more than half of us have been in a situation where we had a friend of a different race who saw nothing wrong with inviting us to whatever. And then when we get there, some of the other people at this event have an issue with us. We've never, but in that point, you also would catch me trying to overcompensate with my behavior, to not try to be so irritating because of my skin color, trying to fit in. And I'm this square peg trying to fit in this round hole. I'll never fit in. And yeah, I've been there, experienced that. And I think we all have, or many of us, especially if you're in this age range, the 50s or older. Sure, you've been through this very thing. It's only a matter of how we handled it. Did it stop me from hanging out with my friends? No. But did it make me second guess going places with people that I've never, if it's a place that I've never been and there is not a group of us, if it's only one of my white friends or Hispanic friends said, Tasha, come here with me, I probably wouldn't go, because the only person I know in this situation is them. All the rest of those people might not be as accepting. So yeah. Thank you, Kyle, for hanging out with us for a little while before you go to your stream. And BT Dubs, discussing who on YouTube. That is Kyle, Clarence, and Lee, and they'll be talking about this very same episode in about 45 minutes. So make sure that we are going from here to there if we can, and support their channel as well. Ms. Powell said AI social media is only amplifying what society already has. There was an article where the bots in real life are only showing beauty, thin, light, etc. The AIs are using porn and movie, TV images, etc. And I agree with that. The AI, because it is programmed by someone, is programmed with that someone's inherent biases. And whether they even know, this is the scary thing. Even if they don't know that they are biased in that manner, the AI picks up on it, and the AI amplifies those biases. And you can ask certain questions of an AI. I haven't done it, and I haven't experienced that. But there are many people who will ask a question of an AI and get a racist response. That's because the AI is gleaning all of this information from what is already there, just like Miss Powell said. So people say that things are getting better and blah blah blah. No. We're getting better at hiding some of these biases, right? Clarence said, I wish the episode did a better job of telling the story. I don't mind things being subtle when they are not the main driver of the episode, but there is definitely a lot to be found in the details. And I think that's the whole thing. Like, I don't think that they wanted to spell it out. I don't think they wanted to tell that story. That story ended up being told. The story that they wanted to tell was the AI and the social media stuff. That story ended up being told because it is that insidious little part of social media behavior and social behavior that we sometimes, it's not going to be spelled out. It's overt racism, like what happened at the end of the episode, and there are those microaggressions. And the microaggressions can be just as damaging, if not worse. They can be just as damaging as the overt racism. I've said it a million times on this show. I'm going to say it probably a million more before I check out of here. I would rather have a racist person. If it's a racist person, I'd rather them be straight out calling me the N-word and all of this stuff. Then I know who you are. But when you tiptoe around and now you're saying things that could be construed in more than one way, and you're meaning it in the way that's throwing a whole lot of shade, and I'm taking it that way. But everybody around us, because they don't have the same biases and they have not been exposed, or the wrong end of those biases, that they will not feel like what they are seeing is racism. Then you look like the person who keeps crying wolf about racism. I get it. I think that's what I liked about the episode. It did not hammer the racism thing until the end. The rest of it was like we tried to tell you that the lady was racist, and she ain't the only one. Everybody here is. The only people who are not are the people who occasionally unplug and go and do other things besides being in the bubble. Reinhardt said, yeah, my friend who was from Texas, he never saw life like that. So he was shocked at how blatant it was. And he thought this guy was a good guy. That's why he went to the party. Yeah. because they're friends, and you're not going to know until you bring out, here's my black friend. You're not going to know how a person would react. You know, they don't just sit around. Not all of them. The casual racist, as Miss Powell said earlier, casual racists don't sit around and talk N-word this and whatever other derogatory terms about other races. They don't do that. That's not something that happens regularly. You find that out when you're confronted with a black person or a Hispanic person or a Jewish person or an LGBTQ person. Then we can just keep going. We can keep going. Miss Powell said, when I was growing up in the 70s through the 90s, there were parts of town that I instinctually knew I couldn't go. The bubble was known, but my parents never even had to warn me. Us too. I'm from Gary, Indiana. I've told y'all that a million times. Crown Point, Portage, Valparaiso, off limits. I said Crown Point. Yeah, off limits. Some parts of Maryville. And Maryville is like, it shares the border with Gary. Some parts of Maryville you couldn't get into in the 70s through the 90s. Now things are opening up a bit because of white flight. They still running. Anytime some Negroes move, if they move a block too close, they still running. So, you know, I grew up in that era. I feel you. I understand that 100%. Reinhardt said, it's weird, Tasha. I've gone to dozens of rock concerts, and a lot of times I'm one of the few black people there, and I've never had a problem. But small town settings, it's different. And the rock concert, we're all here for one thing. We're here for the rock concert. I don't have to pay attention to the person that's standing next to me. I'm not going to treat you no different. We're here for the rock concert. And if I got to meet up with you at the potato salad as I'm waiting to fix my plate, now I might have an issue. You know, that's where we were as far as the racism of that day. There's a lot of places I could go. I never experienced any problems at the grocery store, but I might experience problems at the backyard barbecue of my other friend. You know, Miss Powell says, my mother-in-law, when I got married in 94, told me not to step in certain states at all to get gas, food, bathroom in 1994. How much of that was her lived experience or accurate in that time? We still got sundown towns, though. Y'all know there are still places that you better not show up to. Period. And if you show up, you need to be on your way out before the sundown, before sundown, or you find yourself in a bit of trouble. And yeah, Russell T. Davies said on Unleashed that he on purpose wanted to see how long it took to notice that all of Fine Time is white. I grew up on Doctor Who that was all white, so I didn't notice. I noticed, but I still didn't put it together. You know, I noticed, but I've also lived in Gary, Indiana, where everybody pretty much was black. And then the next town over, everybody is pretty much white. So that was my lived existence. Yeah. Wingray says, supposedly this was written by RTD for Matt Smith and Amy Pond. Now I think you said that in the chat, and I was like, wow. I mean, would they have made it a Time Lord thing, or would they have made it another character that, you know, we hadn't yet met was being exposed or being treated in a racist manner? Obviously, the racial component wouldn't have worked that well there. What do you think would have been the outcome there? It's crazy that I know this story probably had been written for decades, but it's crazy that we're still talking about the same things. It's like nothing, you know, a lot has changed, then nothing has changed. Because if he was going to write that earlier aughts, some years back, this story is still relevant right now. And if we take this episode, besides the the AI part makes it Black Mirror, right? If we took this episode and dropped it in 1977, it's still the same. 1977 is the same. 1997, as me and Miss Powell just discussed it, the same. Or 1994, as we were discussing, was the same. Now we getting into the 2000s, it's the same. And now we in 2024, it's the same. This episode works wherever you put it because we haven't changed as a society. Not you and me, because I know you good people. But society is like spinning its wheels in a lot of ways. And people are continuously coming out and showing that I don't think that they started off with these racist intentions, but some of these people over the last few years have learned, because it's a learned behavior. They have learned to be racist. They have learned to be xenophobes. They have learned to be homophobes. Anything that is not the same as them, they fear. Except for now, and it's something that that I've talked to friends about. I'm not going to name no names. I've talked to friends about the fact that once upon a time, it was us, Black people. We were treated differently. We were treated, and I'm not talking about other races. I know other races and nationalities were treated bad too. I'm speaking from the experience that I know from life and from those who were, my ancestors, their lives, right? A lot of them, where was I going? The train was moving, and I lost my train of thought. But yeah, we think that these people are racist, or they're doing the racist things. Gosh, where was my mind going? It end all be all is, like I said, shit hasn't changed. It's changed a little, but for the most part, Black people included, now that we have our status has raised in society from the 90s, from the 70s, from the 50s, our status has raised. And now many of the people who are descended from slaves are starting to see, I got a leg up on the LGBTQ people. I got a leg up on these immigrants trying to get into our country. I got a leg up. So once you realize, not us, of course, it's just hypothetical, but once you realize that you got a leg up on somebody, it's easy to start punching down on them. And that is where we are. We have learned as Black people to be now the antagonizers that we complained about so many years, and we're still complaining about. But you want to antagonize other people, LGBTQ, the Jewish people, immigrants. You want to be the person who is bigger and badder, and how now we can talk bad about you, and we don't want them in our country, and this and that and that. This is an example, a prime example of the same thing. Everybody is in their little colony, and as long as everybody is the same, everything is good. The minute something different come in, you trying to mix, we got to keep you from contaminating, because that word was thrown in there too. We got to keep you from contaminating our pure society. And we doing it right now, 2024. The doctor at the end reminded me of President Obama and healthcare reform. He didn't care if people hated him if they had healthcare. Some people like the Affordable Care Act, but not Obamacare. Yeah, and I like the Affordable Care Act when I had it, before they started tinkering with it. The Affordable Care Act, as it was outlined by Barack Obama, with that, I was able to get health insurance for myself for roughly $9 a month. And that $9 a month was no copay on medications, no copay on regular doctor visits, $10 copay for specialist visits. And you guys heard me going to the doctor an awful lot. You ain't heard about me going to the doctor here recently. You want to know why? Because they took that $8 plan and made it 70 something dollars. And now I can't afford it. Can't afford it. So anywho, I get what you're saying, Miss Powell. Miss Powell said, I've seen in other countries the same bubbles for looks to Japanese or too poor or Northern Germans thinking that Bavaria was not true Germany. We're seeing it even with Russia and the Ukraine. That's our land. Oh, nope. We're seeing it with Israel and Palestine. And look, I'm not trying to start a debate here, but we're seeing it. It's still the same shit. It's still going on. Wingray said he just made a possible connection to this episode, but it's from the Jodie era and the Rosa Parks episode. And I need to get HBO Max. HBO Max has just increased their prices on their ad-free plans again. So I don't. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I gotta have HBO Max to watch the old seasons. So yeah, I don't have that. I wish I did because I really, really would catch up on the Jodie stuff. It's been an hour. I am gonna shut it down. Now, this episode, let's see your ratings. I told you guys what mine was. It was 4.4 and a quarter out of 5. As I said, 4 and a quarter out of 5. Tell me what you guys would rate this episode. And put in like things that you. I guess the one thing that I did forget to say is I honestly feel like humans are the villain. Am I right? Every episode, it's not been okay, besides Jinx. Every episode, it's not been the monsters that has done something. In fact, the monster has been misunderstood. It looks like it's us, humankind, who are we are the villains of the season. It looks like, besides the pantheon and you know, the one who waits and all of this, it's humans. We've had those babies get neglected. They're gonna force the babies to be born. We know what that was. Okay, force the babies to be born and then neglect them. Okay, and then we had Jinx, and then we had what was 3? Somebody help me. Third episode wasn't 73 yards, right? Third episode was the one about the third episode was the one about the landmine, right? Norman said 4.4 out of 5. Thank you. Miss Powell said, me too, when Grace talking about that connection from Jodie to this season. She said the space racist from the Rosa Parks episode in Jodie season 1, he must come from Homeworld. Oh, good thinking. When Grace says, I got lots of my streaming services for Black Friday last year. You should keep an eye out around there. I might do that. So when Grace is agreeing that it is from the space racist. When Grace says, I mean, humans were the monsters in the Devil's Chord episode. Once you remove music, we destroyed the world. Yeah, and I didn't even think about it like that because I had somebody to blame it on, Jinx, you know. But in every episode this season, it seems like it's us. We are the ones that created those landmines and that Vanguard. What was the name of it? Killing Guard, the Killing Guard ambulance and all of this. We created that. And we started this never-ending war over religion, right? Then we did the same thing in it was us in 73 yards, where okay, some supernatural-ish may have happened. But it was humans. We were the ones about to use We voted in fact, in the series, not us, but in the series, humankind voted in a person who sat on national TV and said that they wanted to use a nuclear bomb. What's the point of having them if you're not going to use them? We were, as people literally voted that clown in, and and then this. I think that we have, yeah, it's us. Now, what else does that mean? I don't know, but it's us. We the problem. Miss Powell says 4.5 out of 5. After the reveal for the space it has been given into. Okay, 4.5 out of 5 after the reveal for the space it has been given to the Who community to talk about bubbles in real life. Exactly. So maybe this season is about all the excuses we use to explain away our worst parts, the supernatural, technology, etc. That's a good idea. Let's stick a pin in that one too. I would love for that to be right, because it really looks like that's where we're heading. We're heading in a direction that makes it look like the problems that we are facing as a community are our own faults. We're doing this. Oh gosh, I can't wait. Now I'm excited. So the next episode is the Bridgerton type episode, right? Didn't look at the name of it. Let's see if unless somebody in the chat knows the name. Wingray says, I think my opinion on this episode has gone up. I really liked all the pieces, but felt it was only about half an episode and unfinished. But I'm going up the more we talk. I really liked this episode, but I've liked all of the episodes. There hasn't been one episode that I didn't like. And that's even the space babies, even the one that everybody was like, oh, space babies. I love that episode. So yes, I'm hoping that you might, warm up to it a little bit more. And Clarence is saying now it's in the high 3s, and apparently, obviously, it wasn't there before. So we've talked him up a little bit. Oh gosh. Rogue. Thank you, Miss Powell. Rogue is the next episode, and I think it's the Bridgerton one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I didn't think I was gonna I didn't think I was gonna get it, but like a great story is a great story, period. And you don't have to be in that engrossed in the lore to recognize a great story. This was a great story for me. And great stories are also subjective. There's not a great story ledger. You can hate a great story to me, and it's fine. But or dislike. I ain't gonna say hate. Hate is ugly. You can dislike a great story, and that's fine. But when a story like this gives you so much to talk about, so much to chew on, and I'm pretty sure if I watched it again, we would find some more. I am truly enjoying it. And even with the stuff that I don't know or how it might tie back into past Who, I can find all of that information out. That's what Reddit is out there for. And that's what, I can do that. But understanding and appreciating a good story, well told, could be any series, because this could have easily been a Black Mirror episode. Easily. Didn't have to be Doctor Who. So good. Wingray said Space Babies has not been talked up for him yet. You know what? It ain't for everybody. Look, y'all, I am going to check out. Again, you guys know I will be here hopefully. If hole in the wall, the hole in the ceiling. When that gets fixed, hopefully things can go back to normal around this joint. And I can get on a real schedule again, because now I'm just like, I got to get in where I fit in. Hopefully when this stuff gets fixed, I don't have to do that anymore, and we can go for a schedule, because like I showed them in the last chat, I got a schedule, and my schedule gets messed up because stupid stuff always happens. It always happens. But I'm always thinking about this darn show and what can we do next. So I don't have anything else. We got to I don't want to be late for a very important date, and the very important date is with discussing who on YouTube or Facebook. I think that those are two. I know they're streaming on those two locations. So please, if you got it in you, hang out with Clarence, Kyle, and Lee. I'll be over there. Might not be. I might not talk as much. I intended to try to go on their show and crash, but I've talked for 3 hours, and that's enough for today. Miss Powell was asking Win Grace. She said, I think Space Babies was a light episode to ease the Nuvians into the dark episodes that we've gotten lately. And it was so much exposition. We had to get these people caught up that haven't watched it. But yeah, so look, if you guys got it, and also Win Grace has a channel called the Win Grace Project, where he is also talking Doctor Who, Star Trek Discovery, among other things. I'm not going to sit here and try to, off the top of my mind, just start pulling things. Check out Win Grace's channel and support him as well if you can. With all that, I don't have anything else. I will see you in the next one. Peace.